My fellow flames, welcome back to another Wuthering Waves video. My name is Amethyst, and today we're going to be going over my thoughts and feelings on the Wuthering Waves 2.6 story. What I liked, what I didn't like, did I think it was good, did I think it was doggy doo-doo? We're going to be discussing all of that today. So if you enjoy this video, hit that like, comment down below, and subscribe if you are new. Without further ado, let's get into this. So, what did I think of the Wuthering Waves 2.6 story? Well, I gotta be honest with you. It's the biggest piece of dog shit I think I've ever played in my life. I think it was trap. I'm joking. I think the Wuthering Waves 2.6 story is a decent story with a lot of flaws. I think it's a good story, but it does lack in a lot of areas, and I think pacing is one of them. I think there was a lot of good elements about the story and a lot of bad. The story started off very strong. We go to the Chamber of Augusta, where she has a big iron throne, badass, really cool setting. You really feel the energy, you feel the presence of Augusta, and immediately you're thrown into action because she actually tests your strength by attacking you and basically challenging you to see how strong you really are. And then she explains about the hunt and explaining what she's planning and explaining what she wants you to do with her. Essentially, a great hunt that happens every couple of generations where you push back the forces of the dark tide to stop it from spreading. And she invites you along with her. And let me tell you, the first 30 minutes of the story is amazing. It perfectly sets up the narrative and the events of the rest of the story, and I was hooked immediately. I wanted to know what was going to happen within this story within the first 20 to 30 minutes. I was like, this is a perfect setup. I'm here for it. Action, introduction to characters almost immediately. Everything is getting set up for a grand battle against the dark tide. We're ready to go on this hunt with Augusta, and it was amazing. You also get introduced to, is it Viridius? Or basically another character, I forgot his name. I shouldn't have forgotten his name. There's a character that was essentially designed to be the perfect 4-star character that isn't a 4-star character, that Kuro add him as a 4-star character. I forgot his name. Is it Viridius? Or there is a character. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. He was perfect in this story. He was set up and introduced in one of the most perfect ways there is to introduce a 4-star character, and for some reason he isn't a 4-star character. He wears really detailed armor, his character is built and developed in a very interesting way, and also he's a great descendant of one of the previous heroes of Septimont. So why wouldn't he be a playable character? I can't lie, I'm not too sure. I don't know what Kuro was thinking. This was a missed opportunity for a 4-star character to be on the Augusta banner with Augusta, but I digress. He was a really cool character to be introduced. He's set up in some way to be an antagonist, but he's a very misunderstood character. He's not a bad guy, but everything that Yuno and Augusta does around this character and the way they explain what he's doing and the way they're suspicious of him basically tells you not to trust him, but he proves himself time and time again to you to trust him. So it's quite funny. I think it's just a rivalry between the three characters of Augusta, Viridius. So I'm going to call him Viridius. He's probably called something else. I don't know why I'm forgetting his name because I loved this guy. He was such a cool character. Very interesting part of the story. A character that actually was hands-on, helping you throughout each part of the story unfolding, and I think he was such a good addition to this story, and I really appreciate this character. Kuro, please make him a 4-star character because he's just so cool. Speaking of character introductions, Yuno was introduced in one of the most bitchiest diva ways but badass ways ever. She came in when we went over to fight this enemy, this dark tide enemy, these tacit discords created by the dark tide. As we were pushing them back, as we were fighting them alongside Augusta, Yuno's arrow comes out of nowhere, takes it out, and then she's just like sitting there pointing her bow at these enemies. She aura farmed to fuck. But both Augusta and Yuno had the most aura farming scenes and aura farming moments, I think, in any of the Wuthering Wave stories. They both entered the story like bad bitches, bad motherfuckers, and I was here for it. It was so cool. Her introduction, Yuno's introduction, was really cool. She is one of the biggest divas in Wuthering Waves though, and at first I hated it. I didn't like it. I thought she was a bitch. I thought she was typical mean girls aspect characters, and I don't like those mean girl characters. I cannot stand them, okay? I was bullied in school by these mean girl types, so immediately when I see a mean girl, I want to tell them to fuck off. But over time, I figured out And they showed she isn't a mean girl type. She isn't a bitch. She's just being very flirtatious and very teasy. And you know what? I'm here for it. She was teasing you. She was flirting with you. She was basically keeping you on your toes. And she was doing it in a very caring way. At first, I didn't see that, but over time, very quickly over time, I realized what she was doing, so I grew attached to Yuno. There's also a point where you, Augusta, and Yuno basically trap this big, like, T-Rex looking monster. That was the first part of the story, right? Which was very, very good. The chase of this big Tyrannus Tacit Discord all the way up to a certain point was really, 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 really cool. This Tacit Discord was insane. Essentially, you're chasing this big Tyrannosaurus Rex-like Tacit Discord as it causes havoc and wreaks havoc throughout this area of Septimont, as it's basically causing a lot of the effects that's happening in this area. So your job is to take these gem-like things, place them in these pedestals, and it clears the dark tide, clears away the high tide, and it pushes back this Tyrannus thing. It's a very powerful Tacit Discord, and this is what the hunt is about. The hunt is pushing back this particular Tacit Discord to a certain point, taking it down, trapping it, and eradicating everything that's going on. When you get there, when you get to where you're about to take it down, something happens that Augusta, you know, us as the main character, could not perceive to happen. Essentially, the trap was a trap. Our trap was a trap by the dark tide. We get there, we take down Tyrannus, we're about to finish it off, but then the false sovereign appears earlier than expected and absorbs Tyrannus, and then causes all of us to go into some really intense, manipulative, like, trance, and Yuno gets plunged down in a vision, in a dark vision, where she starts to get swallowed up by the dark tide. We as the rover basically bring her out of this vision, but we don't know what the hell's going on. We're like, hold on a minute, the false sovereigns appeared sooner than expected, and everyone basically gets bodied. However, Augusta goes in, pushes it back a little bit, it retreats, and then our job is to find the false sovereign, because the false sovereign is basically the big bad of this patch. We thought it was Tyrannus, but Tyrannus was the mere prologue, the intro to what this bigger narrative was going to be. So essentially what the false sovereign is, it's a humanoid embodiment of the dark tide. So obviously in the past we had the influence of the Leviathan Thronodian taking on different forms, Lady of the Sea. We fought her when she took over and was possessing Fleur-de-Lis, but in this sense the dark tide has humanized itself and basically become this humanoid body of the false sovereign. One of the best boss designs ever. Over the moon happy about this. We chase this thing after a little bit of a discussion with Yuno. We get to know Yuno as a character. Very, 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 very good little aspect. Now this is where the story slows down. Because once we've got over the false sovereign introduction, once we defeat the Tyrannus Tacit Discord, the T-Rex Tacit Discord, and we talk to Yuno, and we basically go to this camp, we then go, I forgot the name of the town. There's like a remnant area of a town that used to stand tall. Basically Augusta's hometown where she's from. When we get there, the story slows dramatically. And by dramatically, I mean we're talking HSR, Genshin Impact kind of dramatic. For the next 30 to 40 minutes, it literally is all lore, but it's not showing us the lore. We have to go through dialogue upon dialogue upon dialogue upon dialogue to figure out what the hell happened to this town and city, what the hell happened to Augusta. We figure out that Augusta had a childhood friend called Angel, which is a huge key component to the future of the Wuthering Waves story, because Angel, basically we figured out that Angel possessed the power to eradicate the dark tide, because the dark tide was hunting her. We thought originally the dark tide, when it was taking over this town, this city where Augusta and Angel grew up, the dark tide was hunting and tracking down powerful beings, powerful resonators to take over, corrupt, and bring over to the dark tide side. Okay, and we hear this in the voices of the dark tide actually whisper and speak to Augusta, but we find out that the Dark Tide wasn't after Augusta, because Augusta had the power of will. She is a Green Lantern. Her willpower is so strong that a Green Lantern ring would come from the universe and basically choose her to become a part of the Green Lantern Corps. However, her resonance ability, which is magnetism, is very weak. And so the Dark Tide sees her as unworthy, weak, pathetic, so it ignores her. And it goes towards Angel. Now, the story tells us that Angel dies. Essentially, it's alluded to the fact that she disappeared or she died. She's not dead. She's not dead at all because, by the way, spoiler alert, Angel is Galbrina. Angel is Galbrina, which is insane. Everything that is set up through this story is setting up Galbrina's part, is setting up Galbrina's role in the story. Angel, the NPC, the childhood friend of Augusta, is basically being introduced as a resonator who was awakened to take down the Dark Tide. Angel goes missing. We don't know what happened to Angel within the story. She disappears, but then I think it's all but confirmed that Angel is in fact Galbrina, because she disappears, and then when she returns, she has a shadowy figure, which basically is like her assistant. And you remember the trailer where she's like, "Oh, what target are we hunting this time?" And then she's like, "The Threnodian." Yeah, that's Angel. Spoiler alert / not spoiler alert. That's Angel. But then that 30 to 40 minute segment, I enjoyed. But my God, did it drag. It had severe pacing issues. This story had severe pacing issues. The first half, the first part of the story, it's like the first third of the story, amazing. Oh my God, it was perfect. The second third dragged on like a snail. Honestly, I was getting tired of this. Lore drops, really, really cool. There were some really good moments, but it dragged on. And then we had the final third, the final act of this story, which was peak Wuthering Wave storytelling, by the way. Absolute peak. So, after we figure out everything that went on with Augusta's past, everything with the Dark Tide, everything with Angel, we then find the false sovereign. We finally find the false sovereign. We take down the false sovereign in one of the most epic final battles I think I've seen in Wuthering Waves. But before that, I just want to make a few honorable mentions. Bu Ling is a part of the Black Shores. Bu Ling is reintroduced in this story. And you know what? This made me like Bu Ling a lot more. So if Bu Ling is introduced as a 4-star resonator, I'm going to be quite happy if I summon for whatever character is going to, whether it's Kwai Young, whether it's Galbrina, whatever. When those two resonators come, those two 5-star resonators return, I hope Bu Ling's a 4-star on one of these banners, because you know what? Bu Ling actually had a pivotal moment within the story, because she is a consultant, she is an agent of the Black Shores, and she helps you figure out where the false sovereign is, where do you have to go next. She is so intelligent, she is so smart. She's essentially the Barbara Gordon. She's Barbara Gordon from Batman, and if you know Barbara, like the Overwatch person, where she does all the tinkering and does all like, oh, Batman go here, Batman go there, Batman I know where this is. She's basically that. She is so badass. So cool. I was hooked. I actually was really, really hooked. I thought her involvement in the story was really, really cool. Some people probably found her like annoying. I found her very endearing and very funny and very cool. Anyway, we go and find the false sovereign thanks to Bu Ling. And essentially, we find the false sovereign. We fight the false sovereign. The false sovereign basically takes out almost every single fucking person that basically has come together. We, as a group, as the Hunt, have come together to fight against the false sovereign. The false sovereign bodies us all. Bodies us all. But then, that 4-star resonator, that isn't a 4-star resonator. The guy the Viridius, whatever his name is, he has a star shining moment where he also contributes to fighting against the false sovereign. He was such a good character in this, honestly. Honestly, this isn't an in-depth review. This is like brief moments of what happened, but I'm going to touch on everything that I can remember off like the top of my head. He had such a good moment in this, man. And honestly, he should have been a 4-star character. Everything from his armor, everything from his personality, his involvement with the story. It's kind of stupid that he isn't. a 4-star character. But it was so cool. Everything about this segment was so cool. The false sovereign basically bodies all of us. It then retreats. After it's weakened, it retreats. We follow it. Us as the main character and Augusta follow it. We then go toe-to-toe with Augusta. We figure out, we track down where the false sovereign is. We found its location. And then Augusta's like, I am too weak to take on the false sovereign, but you, Rover, you could be the key to everything. So we go 1v1 toe-to-toe with Augusta, and Augusta's actually a pretty difficult boss fight in this. It's not easy. She actually goes pretty insane. She bunkais up and goes for the power. Nothing held back. We have to 1v1 Augusta in one of the most badass fights in Wuthering Waves. Then the whispers start to take over Augusta, and then Augusta figures out that the only way to defeat the Dark Tide, the only way to purify everything, the only way to get the upper hand against the false sovereign was to let the false sovereign take over her body. And then we as the rover begin to fight the false sovereign. But then while we're fighting the false sovereign on the outside, the inner battle between Augusta and the Dark Tide and the whispers and the everything going on, like the influence of the Dark Tide trying to basically take over Augusta. You can see the inner battle between them in a very nice 2D drawn animated format. They show this perfectly. And then Augusta has one of the best alpha aura farming moments where she basically gives her swords, gives everything to these lost souls, these warriors of Septimon, and she rallies them all together. The power of friendship. And then she full on has one of the biggest All Might My Hero Academia moments ever, where she goes, yeah, and punches the Dark Tide. And then we see in a cutscene, her fist comes out of the chest of the false sovereign. She rips herself out of the chest of the false sovereign, and then it's Augusta and Rover versus the false sovereign, and it's one of the most badass fights in Wuthering Waves. And I'm not sugarcoating this. It was hype. The beginning of this story, very good. The middle was dog shit. The ending was amazing. We even see Yuno literally do the I am the bone of my sword fake collab. The best fake collab. Hey, you saw who? Yuno fires. Bing! The arrow. The arrow is fired. She assists in the battle. We as the rover take down the remnants of the Dark Tide. We have to defeat this big crystal gem. And as we're plunging our sword within the heart of this gem, taking out the Dark Tide, the false sovereign and Augusta are going toe to toe. And then Augusta has the biggest get-to-get-tent-show moment ever and goes defeats the false sovereign. We eradicate the Dark Tide. It's really cool. It's badass as fuck. We then see Rover and Augusta share a few moments. Augusta has a moment as well. We nod to Yuno. Yuno knows, her involvement helped us defeat the false sovereign. We then finally go to this big mechanism where Imperator's signal was. And we have this little hollow wayfinder thing that holds secret. We can't open it. It's locked. It's permanently locked. And then the big reveal. The only way we can unlock this relic, this artifact that Imperator left to us, is to go and find Kartathea and she will help us unlock this mysterious artifact and we're finally going to unlock some secrets of who Rover is. And Augusta's coming with us. Augusta is going to be coming with us. Now, part 2 of the 2.6 story is coming at the end of the month, and I cannot wait, because I think that may be the best Wuthering Waves story we are going to have ever. Now, this story had really good moments, dog shit moments. The middle of this story, there's 45 minutes of this story was dog shit, but the rest of it was peak, as I explained. The next part of the story is going to be amazing because the post-credit scene, if you will, is Galbrina arriving arriving to Rinascita. And then that's when we get the moment where the Shadow Demon goes, "What will we be hunting today?" And then she's like, "Oh, the Leviathan." So we're going to the Inverted Tower. We're going to be going back in contact with Carthea. We're going to find the secrets finally after so long about who Rover is and what the secrets of Imperator is. And then that's when we're going to get the potential death of Carthea, Galbrina's introduction. You know we're going to get a reunited fight potentially between Augusta and Galbrina. Angel. Woof. Woof. My thoughts on the story. I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Now, the reason why it loses 0.25 points is because of that 40 to 45 minute segment that was dog shit. But the other 2/3 of the story were chef's kiss. Amazing. I didn't go into full detail. Oh, also, Cristoforo comes back. That prick comes back. He's planning something. He's plotting something. He's plotting something. And it's alluded that he's created Rover, or this version of Rover. He's like he's breaking the fourth wall. He's talking to us as the audience, the players, and he's talking about creating the souls and creating this reality. What the fuck is going on? I don't know, but hopefully all the secrets will be revealed. All the secrets will be revealed within the next part of the 2.6 story. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll speak to you all in the next one. Take it easy and have a good rest of your day.